everyone, Sav, Shawn, Moo. Amazing show coming your way. Many of you are under the impression still that that lead heel needs to stay on the ground at all costs so that you don't, be careful, make a mistake in your golf swing. And for many of my new students that have just enrolled in our winter program, it's a very big hindrance to your ability to gather enough backswing so that you can whip the snot out of it like the three of us. We want this for you. However, it's not for everybody. Allowing the heel to stay on the ground for Sav is a very important part of her engagement in her kinetic chain. And for me, like, it would be chunk city. There's no way I could function keeping that lead heel on the ground. And for Moo, he's got the choice, but he chooses to allow the heel to come off the ground for a very important and different reason. So you'll want to stick with us for this show. You're going to get a lot out of this, and it's going to really help you maximize your opportunities with your golf swing. If you were to take your setup in front of that ball, all right, and go ahead and perform your backswing. Now, let's look at, you see how you're very balanced on the inside of that left foot. Mm-hmm. You got some nice flex left in that knee. Mm-hmm. And you've got a full turn. Your whole backside is facing the target. So your pelvis and your rib cage had no issues in gathering into the backswing. So backswing and stop. So if you're able to get your full turn, your backside to the target, and you feel very balanced on the inside of your feet, then from there, if you do a practice swing in front of that ball, Sav, notice how she'll put that in slow motion for you, you'll see how she's got instant engagement of that lead foot. Now, for many of my students, if I may demonstrate, if I keep my lead heel off the ground or on the ground, for many of you, you're trying to make sure you keep that heel down and you actually force the center of gravity back onto it, and now that back foot is super loose. So if we're able to do it in a way that keeps us in balance on that back foot, then that's great. In my right-handed swing, I can still get away with it, but I'm not maximizing my juice. I can get up there about 280 yards carry and 302, 305. However, when I allow that lead heel to come off the ground in this manner, then I'm moving that up to 300 carry, which is another 20 yards. And I know many of you can really use that extra 20 yards. So if we look at the dynamics of that, if I try to stay on that lead heel and it forces my center of gravity into an out of balance condition, then I'm severely compromising the integrity of my swing. So if I keep the heel down and it prevents my lower body from turning, then now my upper body is being crushed by my upper arms. And now if I do turn that afterwards, I'm really out of position and out of balance. So if we look at allowing the left heel to come off the ground immediately in the backswing, what does it mean to have a proper turn in the backswing? So my rib cage and my pelvis are turning together on top of my hips and my legs. So half my knee is my femur, and my femur is my hip. And I need my rib cage and pelvis to move out of the way, or else I get collapsed arms all over the place. So when I allow that left heel to come off the ground, for many of you, the balance in your swing will actually improve. Because as soon as you leave the support of that left side, your brain is going to really allow you to be in balance on the inside of that trail foot. So notice my right side is really extremely nicely balanced. Now, once I've achieved that backswing, for many of you with that big turn, you're going to say, how do I get back to the ball? Because it feels like I'm so back here and behind that ball, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get back to it. The key is a proper task in the direction of the target. So my favorite task, and I'll do it face on, is I'm going to take this tee and I'm going to make it somersault in the direction of my target. So I'm going to go ahead and gather my backswing, and then from there, I want that tee to tumble in the direction of the target. So could I do it like this? There's no way. So the first thing my brain has to do is go to the ground. I just planted my heel. It uses the ground to get my body out of the way so that I can flick the tee in that direction. So you'll notice that lead foot will want to plant exactly where it needs to in order for you to clip the tee into that direction. So if I do the same thing here, let's say if I want it to hit a little fade, I've got my intermediate point right here. I'm aiming a little left of that. And what I want to do is gather and flick the tee in a direction that is left of that intermediate point. So when I do that, my brain has to go to the ground and look at how balanced I am in my finish. So for Sav, because of your flexibility, right? We tried, and because Sav is doing long drive, I mean, she made it down to 7th in the world of long drive this year, so she can really pump it out there. And at one point, we thought that allowing that lead heel to come off the ground would actually increase her juice. It actually did the opposite, didn't it? Because on the way back, it started to collapse things, and then to untangle yourself, it just slowed you down.
Yeah.
But because you've got a lot of leg work, I mean, one of the things that you've improved dramatically in the last 3 years is your ability to pump the ground and your ground forces. So you really gather up nicely, and you can really see how well you're using the ground in your downswing. So let's have a look at a couple of savvy swings here. Nice.
That might be in the bunkers, but...
No, it should be pretty far from it. There we go.
All right, so...
There. So there's a little standard 300-yard drive for you now, right?
Yeah.
So decent speed, nice launch conditions, low backspin, 280 yards carry. That's fantastic. So if I were to do the same, so I'm going to hit the fade, bunkers back to line. That's pretty much almost on the same line as Sav. Catch a piece. Mm-hmm. There we go. All right.
Got me by 5.
How much?
5.
I got you by 5?
Yeah.
Cool. So that's pretty much the same numbers, eh, Sav?
Literally.
How close is that?
I know.
I mean, she's amazing. So...
Well, we're not fully warmed up yet.
We're kind of not fully warmed up yet, exactly, but, you know, here's somebody that's just going to blow our socks off. Mm-hmm. Let's show you now, you know, and explain why Moo allows that lead heel to come off, because he's got the flexibility without any issues. I mean, that club is pointing at the ground at the top of the backswing. So if anybody has the ability to keep the front heel down, it's Moo, except that for him, it really allows for an extra burst of effortless speed. So let's listen to what Moo has to say. Wow. Hitting fade?
Yeah, I want fade. I wanted to play fade. I'm playing draws the last couple of weeks.
One take wonder.
Wow. I mean, that's basically your...
This is me like trying to hit a pitching drive, like smooth, easy.
Well, exactly, like
Yeah.
your gamer drive.
Gamer drive,
'Cause,
yeah.
I mean, think about it. On the tour, you don't really want to carry it further than that because you got a bunch of bottlenecks and it's just going to put you in the wrong spots.
Yeah, and the peak heights get
That's
lower
it.
too
And,
as well.
and you notice like Tony Finau could easily have a 200-mile-per-hour golf ball,
Yeah,
but he chooses to hit it at that distance.
correct, yeah.
So this is what's going to keep things manageable. And you'll get your peak height is at 140,
Yeah.
where you often have it at 200
Yeah.
height. 200
Right.
feet, 200 feet high. It's like nuts, right? But 200 feet high in the British Open in a 30-mile-per-hour wind
Doesn't serve
is it's gonzo,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we have to really, tone it down.
Correct.
And you've really learned how to do that nicely.
Yeah, you got to.
That heel's still coming off the ground, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So even though you're hitting at that distance,
Yeah.
your lead heel is still coming off the ground.
Yeah.
So what does that do for you exactly? What does it feel like? What's the benefit for you?
The benefit for me is that it gives my central nervous system the information that I don't need to steer the club to pass through with
man.
momentum.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we promote in a huge way is the frictionless, action in the swing. So it
Yeah.
means like the weight of your arms are tracking an arc,
Correct.
and the body is responding to that tracking to allow it to freely track the arc.
Yeah.
And if the arc is in the right place and you're lined up already, then you're just in a process of letting go.
Yeah, become reflex action towards the target.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So let's have a look at face on what that looks like for Moo. Whew. Did you put a little extra juice on that, Moo?
Just a little bit.
Okay, now we're 345 carry. We just added another 20 yards. Right in the center. And
Face was a little closed by 2 degrees, 3 degrees.
yeah, so your club speed just jumped up 10 miles an hour to 128.
Yeah. Just got more leg action on that one.
No
Yeah.
kidding,
Yeah.
man. So you could really see the flow in that swing. It looked like you were in your perpetual motion drill.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, that's
the
right.
rhythm and the timing and everything else looked really, really sound.
Yeah, if I were to keep my legs pretty stable, I would short circuit, trying to get my momentum passing through.
Right, because I mean, if so, again, if you go into perpetual motion and you swing back and through without stopping, right now your arms are tracking their arc.
Yep.
And your body is getting out of the way in both directions to allow it to continue to track.
Correct.
And that's what we were talking about before.
Yeah.
So when you look at that last swing in slow motion that Moo just did, you're going to see this beautiful planting of pressure that the brain needs to do to get the body out of the way to have access down there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so that way your arms get to swing freely in that direction and unimpeded.
That's right.
So it's when in the backswing you lock up the legs. So let's say if you show up and you go, okay, hey Moo, if you par this last hole, you'll break par today
Right.
on the golf course, right?
I'm
That's if I want to get into your head.
Yeah, yeah.
If we're playing for a little something, and then you're going to go, no, because if I'm careful not to, send it over the trees on the left or snap it over the bunkers down 11, on the 18th hole,
Yeah.
for me to function properly, I need to find my flight plan, which is what on 18?
18 on the Quebec or the Royal?
On the Royal.
On the Royal, it's a draw. The fairway is pretty wide open.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you got some room down the corner there.
That's right.
That's where the elbow is. There's a lot of room
Yeah.
that nobody can reach there from the back tee. So you're seeing your flight plan and you're getting ready to let the arms swing freely in that direction, and your lower body is responding in a way that's going to allow that to happen.
That's right.
And for you, that heel coming off the ground is a major part of that,
It is.
because it really gets you balanced on that back foot. So how do you guys now find out what's best for you? Well, it's all about, hey, can I go that way? So if you in your backswing, you end up doing this to stay, keep that lead heel on the ground because you've been told to do that or else be careful. Well, how are you going to access the target now? Right?
Yeah.
So if you go back to our Frisbee video, if I'm throwing a Frisbee at the ball, it's going to look like this. But if I'm going to throw a Frisbee in the direction of my target, it's going to look like this. So do I freeze the legs in order to throw a Frisbee? Not a chance.
No.
Right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to gather that Frisbee and sling it through. So for my left-handed swing, not allowing this to come off the ground makes me feel like my legs are static. I get all bunched up, and now I feel the need to push. So if you feel the need to push in the downswing, that means you're not completing the backswing.
Correct.
So let that heel come up, let the lead knee come behind the ball, really gather that range of motion. If you look at Moo's swing again, you'll notice there's massive amounts of range of motion, but there's no loss of center.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
The center staying put, and he's gliding around that with this, beautiful, young, strong body of his. And it's allowing him to gather unfathomable amounts of momentum to, what was your benchmark this last couple of weeks? Where didn't you hit one like over 380 carry?
Yeah, it was about that. Yeah, close to that.
So, think about that. The amount of momentum you need to generate that. And he's still here.
Yeah, Ian and Matt did a case study of how much club head speed you need to hit 300 yards. And it was anywhere between 100 miles per hour to 110.
They did that?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Nice ball. Whoa.